Before I get going with this video, I just want to throw a quick thank you out to the Heroforge team, and particularly Tegan Morrison, who's the founder and CEO of Sky Castle Studios, which makes Heroforge. After the big update of the other day came through, myself and a few others, we were quick to notice some rather glaring issues with many of the reworked chess pieces. But I mean, this guy pretty much immediately comes down from the heavens to talk with us about the problem. Like, he talks about it in the comment section of my rant video, on Twitter, and on several of our Reddit posts about it. And I mean, before we know it, he has his team working on a fix, and by the time this video drops, most items have already been sorted out and repaired. Like, a developer team which is that in tune with this community and that prepared to respond to problems is a genuine blessing. So, like, sincerely, thank you. And also, I know my fellow Heroforge nerds have an equal appreciation. Alright, so as our first model out of the ones that have been picked, this is, let's see, this is Strengthen Lurt, who is kind of goblinoid king wealthy kind of figure, but who is apparently also very strong, as you can see by the fact that he's carrying this massive sword. So, having looked at this, I think the things that I will want to update mostly, first of all, I'll probably want to overhaul the color, start from scratch and begin with new with the color. I always do. And yeah, there's a theme here, and as everyone knows, I'm not a big fan of the themes. Now, as a general rule of thumb with these, I'm only going to be using pro features if the person who sent me the model has pro, and in this case, there's lighting on this, so I'm gonna assume that the person who sent this in does indeed have pro. The posing here, it is said that this goblin is supposed to be very strong, right, and like surprisingly strong, but I still think that conveying the weight of this sword and the fact that the goblin can swing it would better emphasize his strength than him just holding it willy-nilly like this. So yeah, basically redo the color and redo the posing is the main thing that I want to do with this one. This is a pose that I am quite a big fan of using, that I have saved, and I'm going to be using an edited version of it, and it's basically a charging pose, but in this case it's going to be a little bit different. If I'm not mistaken, yes, there it is, and the idea here is basically that it's going to be getting dragged across the ground. That's the plan, at least. And here we go. Now it kind of looks like he's charging and he's about to swing this thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna be doing quickly before I sort out all of the clothing is I am going to basically fix his body proportions, right? Because this goblin is meant to look very strong, and right now I think some of these goblin proportions, if I'm not mistaken, are defaulted. So as you can see now, I have quickly pulled two models together, and that's because with this clothing, having looked at the original reference, this king, he does wear armor, but he has, I mean, this hat right here, it shows, and this flag and all this, it shows that he's very, this goblin king is kind of very stylish. Now I understand that this pouch here and this bottle might be quite integral to the character. However, I feel that because I might be able to fit one of these items onto the back later, and I'm gonna try to do that. But right now I'm gonna remove them from his side because they are too big and they take up sometimes less is more. Like by taking this away, we give a lot more space and for these legs to show, which we want because this is obviously a very cool armor combination. So, alright, so basically, now it's getting to the point where I'm getting ready to color, and to explain some brief things here, this shoulder pad I've kind of squeezed in to make this look like it's kind of just a flare going over the shoulder pad instead, because this armor already has a shoulder pad here, albeit a little bit clippy. And on the other shoulder, because there's this strap on the armor going up here, I wanted to make this look like this strap was attached to something particular, so I've given him this very gilded, you know, decorated shoulder pad with some fur underneath it on the extra model. And I've also placed a bottle here next to the backpack, which the flag is now leaning on. There are more things I could technically do. Like I'm not using a second chest piece in here now. I could be using a second chest piece to try and make some kind of custom chest piece, but partly this model already has a lot going on. There's a lot of detail going on here, so adding another chest piece might just make it look very cluttered. And also beyond that, I want to kind of try and maintain and keep as much as possible what the original creator of the model had done, whilst also adding on to it what I think would make it look cooler. So it's a little bit of me and it's a little bit of them. We have basically finished coloring most of the character now, and the main changes I've made, I've already explained why I made them. The armor on the original model did look quite rugged, so even though this is quite a rich goblin, I've made the armor quite like rugged and toned down in its color again, also so that it can contrast with his shoulder that is not very rugged. It makes it stand out more. But the focal point of this whole piece, in my opinion, is going to be the sword. Now, the sword, as it looks in the original picture, has quite toned down colors, which I'm gonna be honest, I think is a bit of a missed opportunity. Because it's a big sword that has runes on it, and him being able to carry it despite being a goblin is kind of his entire thing, right? So I'm going to actually make this sword glow. These runes are going to glow, and I'm going to put a light in them that will make the sword glow further. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into glow here. I'm gonna go into high, and I'm gonna drag this into yellow, and then we're gonna up the glow very much on this. And now you see what we're going for here. Now the main steel color is the same, but there's a very nice glowing outline on this sword that makes it look kind of enchanted, and this is going to be further emphasized with the lighting later on. So let me sort out the lighting, and then we are pretty much wrapped up with this very strong Goblin King adventurer guy. Now, between these three models, there are two models that I would like to give shoutouts to, as in I will not be updating these two models, but they were, for one reason or another, I still want to briefly include them in the video. And the first one is this, it's simply titled Spider, and it is from a person on YouTube called Klimdod. And suffice to say, I think this might be one of the cutest things that I've ever seen in Heroforge. I have to say, like, obviously, on one hand, I'm kind of happy that I didn't roll this, because it would have been hard for me to update this and make it any more perfect than it already is. I mean, this is just golden. I'm sorry, but like, it's so adorable. I mean, and this is really well done. I mean, you can see all the multiple arms here, and the posing is just to perfection, to have it kind of like clambering onto the ground in all sorts of like little crabby ways, and it's just, I have to say, Klim, this is golden. This is perfect. So this right here is a character called Thane, not to be confused with Dwarven Thanes, from a person called Albino Reaper 97 on YouTube, and there's a bit of a story about this character. I read it as well, to how he ends up like this, and admittedly, so I have a lot of thoughts on how I would edit this. However, I am not sure exactly how much of its current iteration is very like integral to the character. So like the first thing that I'm thinking is the fact that his head size is pulled up so much like this. It gives him a kind of very adolescent look, it makes him look younger because the head is larger in proportion to his body, and I'm not entirely sure if that is if he's meant to look young or not. However, after a little bit of deliberating, I've kind of decided that I'm going to try and follow my usual guidelines and probably keep his head small and make his, like, keep him looking like an ordinary person, you know. I might also be reducing the size of this horn a little bit to make it a little bit less jarring, but this kind of like he's a tiefling who's had like his other horns smacked off, I believe. And now that we have broken horns, we might be able to do something interesting with that, actually. I'm gonna be adding a little bit of clothing, probably changing a thing or two, changing a little bit of coloring, and then messing around with these horns mostly. It's the face that I mainly want to focus on. And I hope Albino Reaper will forgive me for lowering the head side. If it is intentional, so to say, that the head is meant to be a lot larger, then after you get this model back, you can simply raise it back up again, but for now I'm going to be lowering it. So, similarly to what I did with the goblin, I'm probably going to adjust the posing of this a little bit, because it's very clear that he's meant to have this kind of determined look, and I wasn't going to change the posing initially, but I kind of want him to be walking forward. It makes him look like he's kind of coming for you, but in a very like slow, steady, and menacing way. Okay, so we are pretty much at the point now where we can start coloring this thing. The main things that I've changed, as you can see, I hope hope I will be forgiven for having changed this horn, because honestly I don't think I think the original horn, it was a little bit too big in my opinion. It was a bit too much. I've also changed a few parts of the outfits. I've tried to choose legs that better balance out these very heavy shoes. I know some people really like the thin legs, but personally, to me, it makes the character look a little bit too adolescent. I've also chosen to go with the new chest piece that was released just this week, the Disciple of Death leather armor, because I think it honestly kind of fits this character very well, and is not that dissimilar from the original chest piece, the Thieves Reinforced leather armor that was used. I also added this cool little cloak here at the back, and as well as the broken horn here. And with that said, I think we're pretty much ready to start coloring this, so that is what I will start doing now. As for the color, I will probably try and stick quite loyally to what the original colors of this are. So I won't go too wild. I won't, like, there is going to be a lot of black and gray going on here, but that's just because I want to be loyal to the original design as much as I can be. I am now pretty much finished with this model, and I am just going to get the actual picture of it as well. In this case, I haven't used any pro features at all, because this model was sent in to me without any pro features included, so I am just going to assume that it doesn't actually have any or that, sorry, that the creator of the model doesn't have pro, so we'll go with this for now. And similarly to with the goblin sword, I have added this kind of like glowing yellow fire trim on this sword here, because it's meant to be this kind of formerly cursed sword, and I think it's no longer cursed as far as I understood the story, but even then I figured it would be cool to leave it as kind of like a nod that there's a bit of like an echo inside the sword, like there's still that kind of fire inside, which is why I put the glow on the lower layers in there. And yes, now we just need to sort out the background real quick, and then we are done. Now, the second kind of like in-between model that I would like to give a shout out for here is the model from Gabriel. And Gabriel has been one of my earlier supporters on YouTube, so I'm, on one hand, I feel kind of bad that I didn't end up, drawing this guy, because I feel like I almost kind of owed it to him to do this model. But unfortunately, I have to follow the RNG, and the RNG did not give me Gabriel's model. However, that said, I wanted to just briefly give kind of some feedback to this, because of the fact that Gabriel has been supporting and like actively commenting and stuff for so long. And honestly, like, man, this model is great. Like, I think that the colors, if I was gonna say something negative, I think that the colors are perhaps a little bit jarring. Like, it looks like a rugged adventure, but the colors could use some more dirt. Like, you could make the brown undertones of this green like a little darker. You can make it a little bit less bright green. But aside from the color aspects, honestly, like, this is really, really well done. I mean, this pose is very soulful. It kind of looks like he's about to fight someone, but then at the same time, you know, he's too busy like chugging from this bottle to really like even care enough to look in that direction. And I mean, this dagger here, this is very creative. I mean, like, using the dagger on the second model so that it clips through the backpack instead. It's a very nice touch. And I'm sorry that I didn't draw your model, Gabriel, but I just want to say, like, thank you for supporting the channel as you have. And this model is great, and hopefully I can get to one of your models in the future when I make another one of these. The third and final character that we're going to be updating here is a character called Esteban, and he is this kind of, you know, as far as I can understand from his description, he's pretty much like a very kind of power-hungry half-elf mage who is also like kind of Sherlock Holmes, if that makes any sense. And I don't know if he's evil, but he does apparently really want power. So the main thing, I'm not going to be changing too much of his outfit, because the outfit seems pretty integral to the character. I reckon like this is a new outfit, and Master Bowie, who is the person who has sent this in, I imagine, given this is like kind of a Sherlock Holmesy kind of character, I imagine he's probably pretty attached to this outfit. And because of that, I'm not going to change all that much about it. However, what I want to change mainly is some of the colors and some of the personality in this. And what I mean by that is, from this pose, you know, he does look very kind of elegant, and if that makes any sense, but he doesn't look like he's that super fascinated. He looks like he's in control of the book, which is not what I got from the description. And the description was that this book kind of he kind of came upon it, and it's very, very powerful, and the powers are kind of beyond him. And in that sense, I want to make the book look like something that is perhaps more so in control of him than he is in control of the book. So we're going to be changing the pose, we're going to be changing some of the colors, and even though there's no pro features on this currently, I am going to be adding lighting because I feel like it is necessary for this book. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find a starting pose, something that we can work with. And really the only thing I care about at the moment is the feet, but I need them to look a little bit more unbalanced, or a little bit more charged than his current pose. So we're going to go with these, and then we are going to twist his upper body a little bit. And yeah, I mean, this posing is going to take a while, so I'm probably just going to speed this up, and I will speak again in a little while. So I am not quite finished with this pose yet. I'm probably going to be doing some more work on it, but what you can see here is that I am essentially trying to make it look like he's drawing something from the book, but it's not quite doing exactly what he wants. And this is to give the feel that the book is kind of volatile, even though, you know, the character himself, by his attire, you would assume is someone who is relatively in control of the situation he's in. I'm probably also going to be toning some of these colors down a little bit, because that's just my style. I'm sorry, but I like more gritty toned down colors. But yes, that is what I'll be working on now. I might change one or two of the outfit pieces as well, because I don't quite like having a full-on outfit on, but most of it I'll probably keep the same. Also, this glove I'll probably do something different with. I kind of want to look like... I kind of want to make it look like this glove may have been torn, because, you know, he's drawing this powerful magic with it, and I don't like the gloves looking the same as the other one. I want to bring some, like, visual distinction to the potential effects of using this magic here. Alright, so I'm in the midst of trying to sort out the coloring here, and I just went into the body to sort out all these proportions, and because I saw this guy was meant to be very skinny, and I appreciate that the height is already all the way up at 7 feet, and I appreciate that all of this weight is pulled down, so he is appropriately skinny. Well done, Master Bowie. However, I do have a bit of a conundrum here, and that is that the theme of green and purple is cool in the magic and in the eyes, I think, but having it on the clothing as well is a little bit. In Swedish, we have this term. It's called tårta på tårta, or directly translated cake on cake, and basically it refers to when you have too much of this, like too much good stuff. It's too much of the good, you know, or it's you're is a classic case of when you want to say less is more, right? And in this case, I do think less is more, because the more green and purple you have, the more attention you take away from the fact that the magic is green and purple. So I'm gonna be honest, I think I'm actually gonna at least take away some of the green and purple and tone it down. I might even go further. We'll see. We'll see. I'll decide. All right. Okay. All right. So, all right. Here you go. This is your proof to never trust an elf. And basically, what I've done here is I have essentially I have gone out of my way to kind of make the lighting from this page glow on this side of his face, and the lighting from the other page glow on the other side of his face. I'll get out of this background thing. And also, I did remove a lot of the green and the purple out of the clothing, but I tried to keep it in areas where I felt it makes sense. So there's still some green trim on the jacket. He has a very distinct purple scarf. He has got a green ring and a green and a purple ring with the exact same colors as that of the book. So it kind of looks like this is the hand he uses to cast with. You know, this is his work hand. And the other hand is obviously still in the same glove that it was before. I changed a little bit of color around, and I changed the boots because the other boots were very thick and they kind of made him look chunkier than he was meant to be. He's meant to look like a very skinny character, and these riding boots, as they're called, or very, very good if you're making a character who needs to look like they have skinny feet. It's pretty much the best option you have. And obviously I left a little bit of green here and there on his clothing, like this little sash here, and like the trims I mentioned before. I have also went out of my way to make his face look a little bit more unhinged. Like, I know this character is like a private investigator, but he's also, you know, as far as I understood the description, he's like he's someone dealing with powers that are way beyond himself. So I felt like this kind of slightly maniacal look makes sense. If it doesn't, then I apologize. But this was my take on it. So now I just need to sort out the background, and I'm gonna try something here, but I'm not sure if it's gonna look any good unless I have a background with 2 different colors. So, like, you see this, like, now I have kind of a very strict theme of purple and green throughout this. That kind of melds together. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that, but I also need to sort this out. I'm gonna lower the intensity. That will make the magic stand out a lot more. I could lower the intensity of this as well. Yeah, now we really have a lot of focus on his magic, which I think is good. I think that's exactly what we want. Do we want the lighting to be coming from? Could keep this lighting pretty much. Yeah, that'll do. Now we have a little bit of light down here on these cool leg parts as well. And yeah, that is obviously, like with the other 2, I will probably make a few final changes. I always do after I finish a model. Like, not all of the changes I make will be on video, because I always remember something that I want to change later. But as a whole, this is my take on Esteban the elven man with a book. I'll leave it at that for now. And yes, I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this, and I am very sorry to all the people who threw in their models but were not chosen. Unfortunately, that is the nature of RNG, and I cannot do more than 3 for one video. I suspect this video will already take me a lot longer to make than I would like. However, I will do more of these in the future. So, if you are remiss that you did not get your model in here, then simply throw it in the next time I make one of these, and hopefully you'll get picked that time. And as always, I appreciate the support nonetheless. If you like this video, then please press like, and if you dislike this video, then, you know, by all means, as always, press dislike.